Mhm. Okay, we are live.
Oh, hello. How's it? How, who's? Is this me? Is this me, Devin?
This is you. How are we
Oh
doing,
yeah, right.
everybody?
Look at this. Harold is listening to the
Listen.
SOA soundtrack. That's what we need to have playing right now in the background. We need the SOA soundtrack pumped in here. I wonder if we can do that. We can do video files. Oh yeah, probably one way. Hey, sorry for being late. Devin, what do we have going on today?
We are going to be doing a rules Q&A. So over the past few days, few weeks, I've been looking through all of the questions that you guys may have about the rules and things you might have been confused on. So Brendan is going to go over these and try and answer them the best way he possibly can. So hopefully by the end of this, you will feel a lot more comfortable playing the game, and you'll be able to play as much as you want.
Got my trusty rule book here. Got my scenario book here. I am set. And hey, before we get into specific questions, maybe let me give a little update. So we're gonna have this video as a resource. So after we finish it up, Devin's going to timestamp some different chapters, in the sections: space combat, world exploration, etc. So that's really good. And next week, I guess we're in Monday. Technically, it's a holiday in Canada, but yeah, we are planning. I am planning on publishing our Stars of Akarios roadmap, and the roadmap has a few different things in it. Right, it has kind of some of the tweaks and fixes we want to do with the app. What's coming down the pipeline as far as potential expansions, and then also kind of the biggest thing, an overhaul of some of our rules and how we explain. I know there's like there's some confusion around the point. Is that I'm happy by and large with the rule book, but we ended up hiring. Am I allowed to say? I will be interviewing the person. Yeah, no, I don't think so. We have a contract signed with him. I don't know if there's someone who has more experience in the gaming industry than the person we've hired. So right now, we just have him on a he's scoping out the project. We sent him a copy of the game a couple of weeks ago. He is kind of working through it, and he's going to present a couple options to me in, I think, August 15th, as far as how we want to approach it. Different levels of variation with the Stars of Akarios rulebook. So really excited about that. And yeah, that's, I think, kind of from my end as updates. So happy to jump into things, Devin.
Yeah,
How do we want to do this?
did you want to go over the second edition ETA and stuff, or did you want to do that later?
Oh yeah, so it'll be included in the roadmap. So kind of to give everyone like a scope on what we're doing as a company right now. We are wrapping up Mythwind production, so there's going to be a big open beta test open, I guess, delta, but it'll be an open test for us. Really big game, lots of components. I think Devin just posted a picture of the TTS mod, so that's great. We're happy with where that's come. It's such a different game than Stars of Akarios.
Yeah.
So that's kind of step one. Step two, we're planning our Stone Saga Kickstarter in the fall. And so Stone Saga, for those of you who are unaware, is a survival crafting cooperative game. Survival crafting cooperative game. So
Yeah.
that's the three kind of key parts of it. And this is being designed by Max Brook and Luke Eddy. Max was well, they're both were ex-designers from Fantasy Flight. Max was on X-Wing, I think second edition and onwards. Luke, I'm trying to remember what Luke did. Luke did Star Wars Destiny, I think.
Legion 2, right?
Legion, sorry.
Yeah.
He did Star Wars Legion. So great developers. They've been a blast to work with, and so that's happening. And then after that, then we're kind of looking into the second edition for Stars of Akarios. So probably we'll go to Kickstarter, hopefully early 2023 for that. And I think we don't have many copies of the game left. and so it's been selling well.
Cool. Are you ready to jump in?
Yeah. Just are we planning on writing the responses down somewhere as well for the questions? Robert's just asking that.
Yes. So Robert, what I'm going to be doing is after this video stream goes off, I'm going to go back and essentially transcribe what Brendan had said and just kind of write up based on the questions, put in answers, and then I'm going to put together an FAQ list as best as I possibly can. I know you guys have been wanting that. So yes, long story to answer that question. So you ready to jump in, Brendan?
Yeah. So we'll do your questions first, and then maybe we'll come back to the questions in the comment section.
Yep. Yeah, I already have those put in here. So the first question is, so this is how I'm going to do it. So I will hit enter here, and then I will go boom. So the first question is, when the we're in space combat, by the way, just so anyone knows. So when the AI forces an enemy ship to travel through an asteroid field, does it still suffer hull damage? Would it decide to not move at all?
Yeah, so it does move through. If you, so for any of how in depth do I go in these details? I can just give the short answer and we can just move on.
If there's a short answer, then yeah, give the short answer. Otherwise, give the long answer.
Okay, here's the short answer, and then I'll so yes, it will move through the asteroid field and suffer hull damage.
Perfect.
The reason behind that is if anyone has ever designed an AI system for a board game, you can quickly come to the fact of making the enemy a little bit too smart, and suddenly the game gets so bogged down. So in this case, thematically, the enemy's just running, and he's trying to kill, get you and shoot down your ship as much as possible. So he's going to do what it takes, and if that means flying through an asteroid, you watch you watch Star Wars, and there's the TIE fighters that hit the asteroids all the time.
Yeah.
All right, next.
So the next one is, how does stun work if you get stunned on your own turn, such as entering nebula with no shield? Can you no longer attack immediately, or is it not until your next action phase?
Yeah, so let me flip over. The answer is you are immediately stunned. Yeah, so the ship gains a stun combat effect if their shield is at 0 when they enter a nebula hex, right? So, oh no, wait, just a second. How does stun work on getting justice? And can you no longer? So, if your ship is already at 0 shield and you enter into a nebula, then you're immediately stunned. If you're at 1 shield and you go down to 0, you're not stunned. But if you're at 0 shield, you enter into a nebula, you are immediately stunned. And just looking at the yeah, and then you can't use it until your next action phase. That's all.
So, got it. Cool.
I'm just reading the combat effect rules here.
Next one is, when an enemy is picking the closest target, does it take wormholes into account?
No, it does line of sight. And you can't see through wormholes, at least not in the Akarios galaxy.
Yeah,
it's not like the Expanse.
Yeah. Dexterity says, see stun definition, typo for next turn on stun. So it looks like there might be a typo that needs to be fixed, possibly.
Their next action phase.
Their next action phase. Okay.
I don't know, that's what it says in the
next one is, if you or an enemy goes into a wormhole, but the other end has a ship sitting on it, do you just get placed adjacent to them, or are you unable to use the wormhole? They were originally playing the latter, but then again, it came up as something that could be abused.
Yeah, so the rule, you are correct in the rule set as far as it is the latter, right? You can't move through a wormhole because you go to the next spot. So it would depend on the scenario. I think you're right. You could probably abuse it. I don't know what to give an answer here.
Is that, yeah, that might be one of those where, I mean, yes, you could abuse it, but it's kind of up, player choice, right? Like, do you want to abuse it or not?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm just reminded of playing Elden Ring, and you can get up to weird spots and just cast your wand spell and the enemy can attack you. So it's like you're abusing in-game mechanics.
Gotcha.
So maybe, feel free.
Okay. Let's see. The next one is some enemy ships like the synthetic cruiser have a combat card, for an 8 as an example, that doesn't damage player ships, but instead presumably buffs fellow enemy ships, although this isn't clear. If so, how does it determine a target for this attack? Does it still target player ships or the nearest enemy ally ship?
Do you have... I don't have my cards with me. I don't know if you have your cards. I'm curious. I'm curious to see to I forget what these cards look like. Synthetic cruiser damage ships, but instead presumably buffs fellow enemy ships. So this is correct. I believe the buffs. I don't know, Devin, if you want to grab the cards, but if not, no worries. I believe when it buffs allied ships, it has infinity targets, and so that it'll do that. Otherwise, when it targets friendly enemy ships, it will follow the same targeting rules.
Okay. Yeah, and I can go back later and look into this too when I'm going putting this together. So there are some, because we are doing space combat right now, so there are some questions that are popping up that might necessarily not be space combat. Do you want me to pop those up then as they're asking them, and then we can?
No, let's save them.
Okay. So we have this one. Let's see. When scaling for player count, why does the Sparrow's health remain at a static 10?
Great question. So this was some fun game development. Oh, I guess this is just intent. So every player has one like free damage for the Sparrow, right? So you can flip over your ship ability card, I believe, and mitigate, like ignore enemy shots. So this scales up, right, with the players, and we actually found that worked out. We were scaling the health and stuff, but it just wasn't creating the tension, and so that's what we ended up doing.
Cool. Why is it that the Sparrow has less ability to absorb damage than the Charis or Gnosis ships, which at least gain 1 HP per round and can repair, sacrifice systems, and be healed by tech abilities?
Yeah, sometimes thematics just run out.
Okay.
Gameplay reasons.
Yeah.
Gameplay reasons.
And don't worry, for those of you asking questions, I will get to them once we get there. So, can I own more than 2 of each weapon, engine, and tech cards and swap them in and out? What if you get a card you cannot equip? Do you lose it or hang on to it until you can use it with another ship?
Yeah, so you don't lose it. I'm looking at where it says in the rule books, but basically all the items or all the upgrades that you have stay with you kind of in your pilot pack, so that you can swap out in between scenarios. You can have more than 2 of each weapon. They just live in your box until you use them.
Cool. Can I equip pilot abilities in other slots such as level 1 and level 2?
No. Pilot abilities have to go in pilot ability slot. Co-pilots are unique. Co-pilots are can use any of those slots.
I wonder if that's what the differentiant was the co-pilots. When using the engine upgrade disrupt, do I stress rotate the ship?
Oh man, it's hard to. I think it has a stress rotate in disrupt, so that means you can choose to use it whether or not before or after the action. It's stress rotate, I believe.
I think this one. I think we can do this one right now. Do enemy shields regenerate 1 per turn, just like player shields?
No. So if you follow the this one actually I think is nice and clear on the back even, right? So on the back there's a section that says, pilot action, increase enemy shield. Enemy action does not have that. Bum bum bum.
Okay, cool. And then Leave Me Alone says, does the full enemy command line always happen? So if an enemy attacks and is still in a good position after the attack, is it still compelled to do its full movement?
Yes. Yep. You always follow the command line.
Perfect. Going right.
Simulates a dogfight in space, right? You momentum's a big thing, and you'll continue moving. So
cool. Let's see. Right here. What does the rotate upgrade do in the pilot tree? I found the rotate modifier cards, but I can't find a descriptor. Rotating ourselves mid-shot? ? Rotate the target ?
Yeah, that's good. It's we should make a note. This should have a description. So yes, this allows you to rotate rotate before performing the action.
Perfect. Can enemy ships use wormholes if either their final hex lands on one or their path takes them through one? If so, how is their final orientation determined? Is a new target determined?
Yeah, so they can use a wormhole, and just let me double check. I believe that a wormhole immediately ends the ship's movement action. And so, it says they can face any direction. That's it's great. I would read that as they would face the nearest pilot ship, player ship.
Perfect. Okay, engine upgrade disrupt has a stress rotation. It lets you move an enemy ship by a few hexes. Do I stress rotate their ship because they move, or do I still stress rotate my ship?
Yeah, stress rotate only ever affects the player.
Perfect. Sam asks, Pilot Enver has a pilot ability, Stimpaks. This is not described in a rulebook. Yeah. So can you describe that?
Yeah, so it's this was an oversight on my behalf. In the fact that I thought it's an advantage. So you gain advantage on your next attack. So it uses the advantage symbol. And I thought that it would have been more clear. But yep, gain advantage.
Do you remove a stress miss from your deck if you are above 7 and then go below it?
Okay, great question. Stress. Let us look at this. So the stress track, this is page 17 on the rulebook, has 4 stress thresholds marked at stress levels 3, 5, 7, and 10. Here it is. If a player lowers their stress below a stress threshold, they remove a stress miss modifier card from the modifier deck and shuffle their discards back into the deck. So this means that if you were to lower it below 7, because 7 is a stress threshold, you would remove a miss modifier card.
Can you state which page that is, just for people who are looking?
17.
17, page 17. Perfect. So Harold asks, if the enemy ship is not allowed to attack due to an effect, follows the ship the no path after an attack, even if it could normally attack. If it hasn't, and okay, sorry, he didn't finish the rest.
Yeah, so basically, there's always the branch saying, can you attack? Yes. Can you attack? No. If it has the stun ability, then it will follow the no path because it can attack with the stun.
Perfect. Yeah, and then Robert asks, normally you don't gain a stress modifier on 7, though, right?
That's correct. Yep. Okay. 7 is you get triggered.
Okay, cool. Can the Sparrow be repaired by other player abilities?
I'm trying to remember what we wrote. I believe so. Let me just double check here. Sorry. So my head's been in Mythwind world the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's tough to jump back and forth every once in a while.
I'm trying to remember if it has the repair action on the board itself, saying that it is immune to repair action.
Maybe I'll highlight that one, and then we can go back later and put that in the FAQ. So Robert says, I think the confusion there was the symbols don't show immunity to repair, but the text says all combat effects.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, Devin, can you make a note of it?
Yeah.
So repair should be listed there. As okay, so the Sparrow cannot be repaired by player ships.
Perfect.
Thanks, Robert.
I'll mark them in red on the document. So those are the changes that you want to add. So, okay, cool. Next one. On the shield tech card that states all pilot ships starting hull is +1, does this upgrade the shields or is it a hull upgrade? Wouldn't that be a hull upgrade?
Yeah, I don't know the card you're talking about.
I have. Oh, do I have the picture? Oh, I had the picture. Maybe I'll have to look.
Shield is a tech card. I'm looking at the back here. Shield, your ship's shield value is +1, is what shield upgrade says.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I have the picture. I have to find it again, but I'll go back to that. The next question, let's do this one here. Does any stress gained during... Oh, sorry, that's world exploration. We're gonna go... I know there has been a lot of confusion about the forward-facing and the line of sight. And so when rotating, what does forward-facing actually mean? Targets can still be forward of the ship in front as opposed to behind in multiple orientations. Is this determined by the shortest line of sight?
Okay, so just speaking about like forward facing and all that jazz. So let me just gonna find it in the rule book here. Forward facing direction, page 12. Okay, so a ship's forward facing direction is the direction the front of the ship is facing at any given moment. Okay, targets can actually still be forward of the ship, i.e. in front as opposed to behind in multiple orientations. It's just so okay. So when rotating, this is enemy rotation, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So enemy rotation. Determine target, perform action, advance on the command line, repeat steps. So you determine the target, perform the action, rotate. If there are multiple spaces the enemy can rotate to in order to perform their attack on target, they will choose to rotate so that they are forward facing to the target. If two rotate options are similar, the players decide. So I guess this is where the confusion is. Targets can actually still be forward of the ship, i.e. in front, in multiple orientations. It's just determined by a shortest line of sight. So I guess I don't specifically know the question.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies do not perform a rotate if they can already perform their attack and are forward facing. So basically the logic, right, is that enemy will identify their nearest target, and then so determine the target and then rotate in order to attack.
Yeah, I think the confusion may have been like forward facing, like in the book, I think it says based off of your ship's center, whereas I think one of the pictures shows the arc actually like being forward facing.
Oh, okay, so the ship center, that's the line of sight ruling, and then the forward facing is not that.
Okay, so it's two separate. Okay.
Yeah, so the line of sight, if someone comes up with a clean line of sight ruling for these types of games, I would love to know.
Perfect. My buddy actually might have yesterday, so I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, no, that's great. So the way that we're determining line of sight, right, is from the center of the ship.
Right.
Draw a direct line. Yeah.
Okay. If the lowest placed pilot is flying the Gnosis, is it automatically defeated to start the next scenario, or is it basically ignored unless it has at least +2 hull upgrades?
I don't.
Is this a scenario specific?
I don't understand.
Weren't really specific, so I kind of just put them in here and.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So this is just kind of a generic. Can we expect a breakdown of the pilot ability cards in the second edition of the rulebook?
Yeah,
I think we had just talked about that earlier. And back to line of sight. Do your own ships block line of sight? When you draw a line from the center of your ship, the rule states that other ships do not block line of sight. Why does line of sight not just go from the center? I think we just mentioned that. So someone was asking other ships. In the rulebook, it says other ships. Does that mean enemy ships or your ships as well? So like,
I think it just means other ships.
Right.
So I would say all other ships. right? Because we have to think of, you know, a lot of like the ships themselves don't ever interfere. Line of sight is established by drawing a straight line from the front center of the firing ship to the target. Oh yeah, so it's front center. It's not like center, it's front center. If the line touches any part of the target is within line of sight. Other ships do not interfere with line of sight. So this is page 14.
Perfect. Okay, so when ships are interchangeable among players, how does that work with upgrades and other ships being on other players' sheets? And then, so is that asking like?
Yeah, so you would have to start a new sheet.
Okay, so you do start a separate sheet entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so like to follow up with that, if this is the case, what if you have two ships on your sheet? Can you bank ship upgrades? Like only if you have one ship and it is fully loaded?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, the upgrades are attached to the pilot.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just going through here. Robert says there's a late game scout upgrade that lets you ignore all negative effects of terrain. Does that mean you can fly through planets?
I believe it does. Yeah, it's warp drive, I think. So the rules say you can travel through obstacles, planets, asteroids, nebulas without penalty.
Perfect. Does the Titan push other ships out of the way, or can I keep it locked down by moving player ships in front of it, blocking its movement path?
I don't think it actively pushes unless the scenario book says it does. I'd be surprised at how long you could last that way. But hey, go for it. I just know that the if you're within like 3 range of the Titan, you're gonna get blown up pretty quickly. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Why is it that the Sparrow has less ability to absorb damage than the Charis or Gnosis ships?
I think we worked through this one already.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah,
there might be a few that are probably similar here. The other questions are like super long, so I'm not going to be able to put it in the
Oh, Steve, I think the Gnosis one is in reference to a Veritas event. That's fun. Sorry. Hey, Steve. Shout out.
I'm not seeing that over here. Oh, there's Steve. So let's see, this one might help here. When the Titan attacks, his target can only be the Sparrow. Can the abilities that don't have an arc but have multiple targets still hit us as pilots if we're within range?
Yeah, so this is in specific reference to a certain scenario. You'll probably fight the Titan again, where its target's not only the Sparrow. And yes, the target only targets the Sparrow, but its AoE effects will hit everyone.
So follow up, what if the Sparrow can't be targeted, aka it's out of range?
It'll still like actually here. So I just want to, instead of just like saying stuff, I just want
Yeah, no, that's cool. You can get a page for it. It's going to be easier for all of us, I think.
Yeah, so it's the firing arc. So it's going to perform its whole command line. So it will trigger the attack at the end, right? So it won't be able to attack first. And so it's going to go no. So it's going to go move again, right? Probably rotate and then attack. So it will trigger its attack. So if you're within range, you're within range.
Okay. This one's a little bit of a longer one. So I've had this question a few times. Can we get a more detailed description of how ships move through their maneuvers so we can determine which direction the ship should face when movement is interrupted? And as an example, in the basic turn movement, presumably you're forward facing when entering the second hex, but facing the final hex when leaving the second hex. Does the interruption happen before or after the rotation, or do players have a choice?
Yeah, it's a great question.
It is a very and this has been asked quite a few times. So this was one
so the question is like, okay, does it rotate? So yeah, does it rotate before or after?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say it's the final. I would say it's the final time, right? So, I'm looking at interference interference here, and say you make it to this top one here, I would say that you're still facing forward.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if that's written in stone.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's something we'll have to look at further detail. If an enemy's target is out of reach, but it can hit another ship, does it count in the command as fire yes or fire no? The command line, I'm assuming, is what he's talking about. But if an enemy's target is out of reach, but it can hit another ship, does it count in the command as?
So this is specifically if something's like only like the Titan.
Okay.
So here's a funny thing with the Titan. If you're following the command lines, the end result's actually going to be the same.
Oh.
Probably. You're going to move unless you're like specifically behind and it moves first. But with on the Titan ruling, it will first try to fire against the target. It won't, and then it'll move on to the next one.
Perfect. Ott says, if other ships don't block line of sight, does your own ship block line of sight? Since you draw from front center, can you draw through your own ship? Since the rules specify other ships don't block.
I'm just going to say, I don't know where this would come into play.
Okay. This one is a longer question. In the rules, it states that a miss modifier is removed when you go below a stress threshold. It doesn't specifically say when you go below thresholds levels 3 and 5. Has this been clarified? That it only relates to levels 3 and 5, or do you get to take one out if you go below 7?
We talked through this one already, the stress one, and it's all the thresholds except 10.
Yep. So Sam's question: if the target can't be hit by the firing arc, but another is hit instead, is hit yes triggered in the command line? That's the follow-up to Sam's question. I think he's trying to reiterate. Let's see.
Yeah, so this is only when it comes to the Titan targeting the Sparrow. I don't think there's another situation where this happens. So, okay. Yeah, the answer is no, the first one, yes, the second
one. Perfect. So let's see what we got. When you spend a pilot skill point to get a ship upgrade, does that upgrade apply to any ship that pilot uses and stays within the pilot, or does it apply with one ship and stay with the ship?
Pilot, to get a ship upgrade, it's attached to that ship.
Perfect. Let's see. We have. So I'm just gonna, with this one, if you can just like explain the reasoning or whatever.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? Read the entry corresponding to the number of assigned action dice to the skill check chosen.
Okay, wait. Are we moving away from space combat into world exploration? Happy to.
Is that world exploration? It was in space combat, but it might be. We have a few other. We just have like 2 other questions.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Let me just. These are just really long, so I'm trying to like pair them.
You're doing a great job, Devin. Way to go. And thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone. So on page 20, the rulebook states if an enemy's firing arc does not attack the targeted ship, but still attacks another ship, that enemy will still perform their action.
That's funny. Way to find that. Whoever found that. That's great.
If there are multiple ships within the firing arc, none of which are the original target focus, do players choose which to attack, or do we prioritize closest to the enemy ship?
Yeah, because of the story. Hey, so Sam and Dice Terity, I've been leading you astray. Someone needs to read their own rulebook. So let me go back to the Titan, right?
Okay.
The Titan's trying to attack the Sparrow. Can't hit the Sparrow, but has an AoE effect. It will then, or actually, sorry. Yeah, if an enemy's firing arc does not attack the targeted ship, but still attacks another ship, that enemy will still perform their attack action. And you find yourself close to the Titan, it's still going to trigger its attack. Boom. Page 20. Thanks, guy. Sorry about that, team. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was just going back on what we were just talking about before you switched over. So this one's like This one's super long. I don't know if you want me to just read the whole thing out, and then you can kind of say whether or not, because I'm not going to be able to put it up here.
Do you have it highlighted?
Not on it's this one right here. This really long question. I didn't know how to pare it down, so
let's ignore that question.
Okay, and then so Sam just said yes, but again, is the yes in fire command line or no, since originally target is not hit?
Yes. So it would has it successfully performed its attack? Yes. Moves up to the yes command line.
Perfect.
Thanks, Sam.
Let's see. We already have that. I believe that might end space combat. So yeah, I think that's going to end space combat. If this question we'll have to go over later. So yeah, we can move on to world exploration if you're okay with that.
Let's do it.
Cool. So can items picked up? Let's see, like this. Boom. Items picked up and the bonus they give during world exploration be traded to other players on the same tile.
No, because these, like, I think he's maybe referring to like the crowbar in Chosic Moon.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Let's see. On page 30 is written that the wild dice and stress dice can be used for any action. Does that mean that you can use a wild dice for a stress action in world exploration, or is it a typo?
It says you can use it for any action.
Perfect.
So go ahead.
What exactly is considered adjacent in world exploration? Is a card connected via wall and no path considered adjacent?
Are we speaking about movement? Reveal and place face up the indicated adjacent unexplored world exploration card. If that's the case, right? So adjacent is, I think, is it called
Orthogonally, yeah.
Orthogonally, right? Yep. So it's up, down, left, right. So that's technically that's adjacent. You're only going to have the explore and move action if you're able to explore and move.
Okay. Does any stress gained during world exploration stay active if I get into space exploration and then into space fight right after?
So let's just do a thing here. So the end of the actually, sorry, let me just, the answer is no. The your stress would go to 0.
Perfect. That's the answer for that then? It would just go to 0? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking for it. But yeah, no, continue on.
Okay. When I spawn creatures at adjacent rooms, do they spawn orthogonally adjacent regardless of the walls? Or does that mean just the adjacent rooms?
Yeah. Yeah. So for the Chosic Moon, it doesn't matter. Like the walls, they're spawning.
During world exploration, are all skill points that are earned not shared between players? References scenario 8, where you can gain a skill point depending on how you resolve an action.
Sorry, just a note on the world exploration. The end of round. There does need to be a note that stress is reset to 0 at the end of world exploration.
Okay, let me make a note here. Stress goes back to 0.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Been noted. Okay? So I've had a few questions about the costs of movement during world exploration. Maybe some hesitation. So there's a few options, but they want to know like specifics of what is the cost.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here. Okay, look at the 0-1 in the green and the 0-2. So it has a, that's the icon for the wild die, which means that it's two dice, right? So you would have to take 2 dice, commit them, roll them. You still have to roll them because if you get a stress, you're going to have to use it, or you're going to have to choose to use it, right? And so that the cost is always attached to it, and you always have to take the number of dice and commit and roll them. Some of the movements I think will require in the later scenarios will require like a specific type of dice, right? So you could commit more dice than needed so that you get the roll that you need.
Okay, that's it for the world exploration questions I have. So if you're cool, we can move towards the scenarios.
Oh, specific. So this is like we should have a note. This is a spoiler section. We're going to. Devin's going to say the scenario number before he mentions any specific question.
Correct. So if you want spoilers and I say the scenario you don't want to hear, then you probably don't want to listen. Unless you're like me and you like spoilers. So Robert just saying something quick. There's questions about if you have to move using explore dice for the tile you want to move to the related tile, or if you can just teleport around.
Oh yeah, so I think the confusion is it's different than space exploration.
Okay.
Space exploration, you can spend a supply and move to any previously explored location. For world exploration, you always have to spend your actions to move to the adjacent tile.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that answers your questions there, Robert. So let's move on to scenario specific. This one doesn't have a specific, but in one of the exploration quests, one member in our party was awarded a ship upgrade but was unable to use it since it didn't match his ship. Is he able to keep it and trade it another member in the party to use?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Rulebook section.
Robert said that is super helpful. So we did answer his question.
That's great. Sorry, you can.
Do you want me to go on to the scenario?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to be going over scenario 8. What happens when you go to entry 38 for the first time and you have no dice? This is before you read 37. That was what the question had asked.
If you have no dice, then you second. So sorry, 38 for the first time. Yeah, so you just have to. It sucks. You're gonna have to do whatever. Do whatever it's set. Do whatever.
There's your answer. It sucks.
Well, I don't know. If you have high dexterity or high strength, then that's fine. But you'll have to perform the action, so you'll have some measure. You might take some damage.
Okay. We're gonna go over scenario 9. If I defend the Sparrow 6+ rounds, will I still get the trauma?
Unfortunately, some things are just traumatic.
So yes, you would still get the trauma. Scenario 9 again. If the Sparrow is defeated in round 7, is that a failure? Do you get both trauma and a pilot skill?
Yeah, because it says if you kept the Sparrow alive until the end of round 6 or greater.
Okay. Moving on to scenario 12. Basically, they're just mentioning that the it's not defined. So what is the exact objective for scenario 12? Looks like there's some confusions on that, possibly.
So you refer to your choice. So there's 3 choices: aiding the sparks, aiding the establishment, or staying out of the fight. Those each have their own objective.
Okay.
And your success or your failure depends on whether you follow those objectives or not.
Okay. Jeremy says the chosen monsters spawn adjacent. Do they spawn through wall?
Yeah, the Chosic monsters, yeah, they ignore ignore that. They just are spawning.
Okay. Scenario 12, again, Uprising. What is the correct order? Enemy action is before the player, but what about the allies?
So the enemy action phase, even though they're allies, they're still technically enemy ships, so they all go at the same time. Well, they go according to their order in their combat decks.
Okay. Scenario 14. Do I have to attempt to enter a passcode, or can I come back later?
Yeah, what entry is that? That's like
scenario 14. I don't know the specifics. That was what I was given.
I think it's 34. Yeah, according to that, you have to enter a passcode. So you're in it. Maybe make a yeah, you have to enter a passcode on that one.
You want me to make a note on that?
Yeah, flag it.
You have to enter a passcode here.
Well, so a lot of them, actually, it probably should have a leave action on it. So it should be either enter the passcode or leave, which is, continue exploration.
Okay, I will make a note of that, and then we can put that in. Cool. Scenario 34. So we're going to jump up here.
Jump in.
How does the Sparrow move? Is the rotate before / after the 2 hexes, or is each hex a rotate and move?
Protect the Sparrow as it goes to 3 different locations and retrieves the civilians there. That's the objective. Sparrow starts with 12 hull and rotates and moves 2 hexes towards A, B, C at the end of each round. So yeah, it would rotate towards the hex and then move.
Perfect.
The 2 hexes, yeah.
Scenario 38. When starting the mission, there are 3 gunships, but only 2 are in the game. Which 2 ships are supposed to be in the mission on card 1.1?
Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. Yeah, so make a note here. The elite 4-player gunship should change to an elite your science vessel.
Your science vessel. Yeah, this was a big question I've got a few times. Really needed answered. So I was like, I'll make sure it's on here. We will get that answered. So the elite 4-player gunship should change to an elite your science vessel. Correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Going on to scenario 47 and 48. What happens to the dart transport, also the Ronin ship in 48 that spawned in 46?
Okay, sir, what was that? What happens to the dart transport? Disabled the banking. Man. Oh, here it is. Eliminate all your ships before the transport UAA dart reaches the Tor Sea beacon. So that's 46. And then it links to 47. I think it has disappeared.
It just disappears.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to make note of that to reference it.
I think it's just thematic. It's not necessarily like a gameplay situation.
Okay. Scenario 52.
Mm-hmm.
The story text doesn't match the special rules box. The FAQ mentions this, but doesn't say which one is right. So it looks like there's some confusion on the matching of what you're actually supposed to do with the special rules.
Yeah, sir. I'm just looking here. Yeah, so the special rules is correct on 46.
Okay. Good with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Scenario 56. What happens here when you die? Is this one where you start over or not?
So this one is in the rule books. So bottom left of page 30. If there's no specific failure, if all players are unconscious, they'll read the failure conclusion in the scenario book. And so Jutsu has a failure conclusion.
Perfect. Okay. Scenario 59. This is page 90. It looks like stellar physics. Is there a way I can get to the controlled investigation section? The scenario only opens with 3 choices. Abandoned area, browse surface, daring attempt. Am I missing something?
It's a great question. Sorry, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Flag it.
Yep, I'll make a note here. Get back to this one. Okay, cool. Scenario 64. Since the asteroids have HP, are they targetable?
Yes.
Okay. This is scenario 86, page 127. The objective at the top under the scenario states, eliminate ship/pilot and then move adjacent to the Sparrow. However, in the body of the scenario, the red box objective states eliminate all ships. I believe one of those objectives needs to be updated based on which is correct. Is that correct? I don't know if that was a clear question or not.
Yeah, no, it's clear. I'm
Okay.
looking at it right now. It's eliminate all enemy ships, or sorry, all UIA ships.
Okay. And we got Alex MacArthur says scenario 69. You are supposed to spawn 3 assault ships at the end of round 2, but the scenario starts with 4 assaults, and there are only 4 in the game. Are we expected to have killed 3 of them?
No. So if you, I think in the spawning rules in the rulebook, if you don't have the ships available, then they don't spawn. So that's page 21. Do not spawn the enemies listed. The enemies listed each ship. Sorry. Yeah. So if you don't have the available enemy ships, you won't spawn them.
Perfect. Okay, that is all the questions I have. And then we just have like the miscellaneous, and there's some other questions, which like the lore, the art, the rulebook stuff, and then the ETA of the Stars 2nd edition. And then someone asked, Alex says, "Fair enough, thanks." Someone else also asked about creating progression pads that are premium with like a larger surface in a sticker system. Is that something you ever thought about, or possibly in the future?
Interesting. No, I hadn't thought about that. Like progression pads?
Yeah, like a larger progression pad. I know we have some community members that have printed their own out and using stickers and stuff. I've seen some pictures of that. So maybe that's something to think about.
Did you see the speaking of created things, did you see the flow chart that somebody made
I did
the other day?
I looked at that. Cool. I was like, oh, I'm gonna use this. It's a pretty good flow chart. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We're getting some people in the community, solving the issues and problems and whatnot themselves, and it's really great to see. And yeah, so a lot of people, there's a lot of questions about the app still. I know it's still in beta, right? Like there's still
there's a decent amount of work. So there's a feedback form, and we're working on it, but it's a little bit slow development. Hopefully we'll have something to update soon.
Cool. Yeah, so that's all the questions. If you wanted to go over the 2nd edition ETA, which I don't know, I think you did earlier.
Yeah, we did it off the top.
Cool. I think that's everything I got.
Wow. Thanks, Devin, for compiling this, and thanks
You did it.
everyone jumping through. There's a lot of content, big game, lots of components.
Yeah.
And so helping people clarify certain aspects so that you can enjoy the game is great. It's been fun to see how much people are liking this, so thank you.
Yeah, and just quick note before we leave, I think this was probably super helpful for a lot of people. So if you do have more rules questions and we need to do this again, maybe in a few weeks or something, if you ask a question in the Facebook group, Discord, anything, be sure to tag me on there, and you'll see me. You'll see how to tag me. It's usually just my name, and so that way I can get a log and then start jotting those down in the document. Just makes it a lot easier for me when I'm scrolling through tons of different pieces of information. So go ahead and do that. And yeah, so on that note, I think we're going to head out, right?
Hey,
cool.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And broadcast.